station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
At the top of the hour, 4 o'clock, you're watching DC News Now at 4.
Here's a look at today's top stories all across the DMV.
A 16-year-old girl shot and killed near a high school in Lanham, Maryland. Tonight, the hunt for the shooter, it's ongoing. We're live with what we know this afternoon.
And it's turned out to be a rather warm and muggy Tuesday out there, ahead of the chance for some rainfall later tonight. We'll time out when that rain could move through, coming up in just a bit.
All right, Damon, and from station closures to new signs, some big changes on the way for Metro. We're breaking down everything you need to know before your next trip.
Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday. I'm Ben Dennison for Mark Hall.
Yeah, and I'm Annalisa Gale. Good to have you, Ben. We'll get to those top stories in just a few minutes, but first, let's take a look outside.
A beautiful one indeed. Looks maybe deceiving. It was a hot one indeed. We got to get over to meteorologist Damon Matson for a first look at our forecast.
Potential some rain there, Damon.
Yeah, later on tonight, things could get a little soggy out there. But yeah, first and foremost this afternoon, Mother Nature reminding us that we aren't quite into those fall months officially yet. Fall does not begin until next week, and it's feeling like that out there. Look at those temperatures, 90 degrees. Culpeper reaching up there into the 90s, but elsewhere across the DMV, easily middle to upper 80s, 86 in DC, 89 Lexington Park, 88 in Leesburg and Frederick. So you're definitely feeling the warmth, and yes, that air, especially across our eastern counties, has a little bit of a tropical feel to it, with dew points there into the 60s and 70s, so you get that mugginess also mixed in. Definitely not exactly feeling comfortable as we go into these evening hours here, folks. And so far, we have only had a couple of spotty showers passing through parts of southern Maryland down to across the I-95 corridor in northern Virginia. But as we move towards sunset and then beyond into the overnight hours, the chances for rainfall start to increase as a cold front does approach from the west. Around 7 to 8 o'clock, we'll really start to see those showers and storms developing out toward the mountains in West Virginia and western Maryland. And then as we head more into the middle of the night, the early morning hours, that rainfall spreads out across the rest of the DMV. Now, with this activity rolling through, are we worried about any sort of heavy rainfall with any of this activity tonight? And then as we head into your Wednesday, do we finally start to talk about some cooler, more crisp air arriving across the rest of the region? We'll have a full look at your forecast coming up in just a bit.
Thank you, Damon. And an update tonight, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin is standing firm on his decision to pardon Scott Smith, a Loudoun County father whose daughter was sexually assaulted at her high school in 2021. Smith was charged after he was physically removed from the school board meeting. Our political and government reporter Leonard N. Fleming caught up with the governor. Leonard, what did he have to say?
Well, Ben, the governor is steadfast in his belief that Scott Smith was wrongly charged for defending his daughter, and he says this has nothing to do with politics. Smith, who spoke to DC News Now, says he was irate that his daughter had been assaulted by a boy wearing a skirt in a high school restroom. This was during a time when transgender bathroom use was being debated at the school. At a Parents Matter rally here in Loudoun County, this is what the governor told the crowd about Smith, who was in attendance.
So I did have the privilege and the responsibility to right a wrong and offer a full pardon for Scott Smith on Friday. He should have never been prosecuted. And on top of that, I was just visiting with him, and I said, I hope this gives you a chance to be a dad for an extraordinary young woman. And that's exactly what he and his amazing wife are doing.
And ahead at 5, we talked to the Loudoun County prosecutor about this case, about the pardon, and her belief that the governor is playing politics with this pardon. Reporting from Leesburg, Virginia, Leonard N. Fleming, DC News Now, back to you.
All right, Leonard, thank you. Well, new data from the Capital Area Food Bank showing that nearly 1 in 3 people in the DMV are experiencing some level of food insecurity. That figure is actually down over the last year, just 1 point from 33 to 32% since 2022. Among those individuals, 14% experience low food insecurity and 18% suffer from very low food security. That report from the Capital Food Bank said the issue is most severe in Prince George's County, where nearly half of those households are food insecure. It also indicates that Black and Hispanic families are more likely to be experiencing food insecurity there.
Meantime, rough news for Metro riders. The agency says 3 heavily trafficked red line stations will shut down completely for part of December. Critical safety repairs are required at Farragut North, Metro Center, and Gallery Place. They'll be closed from December 18th through at least December 30th, but it's important to note that service on other lines at those stations will continue at Metro Center and Gallery Place during the repairs. In the meantime, shuttle buses will operate to accommodate red line riders. Metro is also looking at changing their signs to be easier to navigate and more inclusive. The new service pylons outside of stations would add letters to each line instead of just colors for colorblind riders. They'll also distinguish separate entrances, and signage inside the stations and trains would look similar. Lines identified by color and letters, as well as identifying landmarks near each station. We'll have more on these changes tonight on DC News Now at 9.
And staying in the district now, WMATA is also making changes in its 10-year strategic plan. This plan is focusing on joint development in the city to help with economic growth. Our Lex Juarez is outside the Brookland Metro Station, one of the stations that will see some improvements.
Well, before any changes are made here at the Brookland Metro stop, WMATA wants to give the public a chance for them to give their input. They're going to be hosting a meeting tonight that's going to start at 6 o'clock with an open house, and then they will start with the public comment period at 6:30. That's going to be at the Luke C. Moore High School auditorium here in Northeast DC. WMATA plans to discuss their opportunity and options to change the bus loop here at the station. They also want to relocate the Kiss and Ride lot and consolidate the exit. Now, these changes, they say, are meant to improve bicycle and pedestrian safety, but they also want to open up this space for housing and retail to come and build in the neighborhood. Well, there are 3 virtual opportunities that people have to listen in. They can call in or tune in live on YouTube. They also will be able to go back on Metro's website and rewatch the archived video. And if you're not able to tune in or come out tonight, there is that option to watch that archived video. WMATA is still going to be taking public input until next Friday, September 22nd at 5 o'clock. So you have a little more than a week and a half to submit your input and let WMATA know what you think about these plans here at Brookland Metro Station. In Washington, I'm Lex Juarez, DC News Now.
Lex, thank you. And right now, families are still hurting from inflation, from back to school expenses to housing and taking care of your pets.
And one local animal shelter is offering a pet pantry for pet families juggling personal expenses and keeping their furry friends at home. And Elisa, I had the chance to go to the Alexandria Animal Welfare League today, and they're helping community families stay within their means.
He wants to see
From kibble to litter,
cans of wet food in here.
treats and wheelchairs. DMV families facing financial stress are heading to the pet pantry at the Animal Welfare League of Alexandria.
Maybe they've lost a job, maybe they've had a medical issue, maybe a family member's, had something happen, and they're really concerned that they might have to separate from their pet.
After the pantry opened in 2020, Joanna Fortin's team was forced to bring in shipping containers to house increased donations, and for pets of all shapes and sizes.
Rabbits, guinea pigs, hamsters, sometimes reptiles.
No lions and tigers and bears?
Unfortunately not. No, as much as we'd love to partner with the zoo, I think they've got their food together.
Federal data shows pet food prices have soared since 2020. Right now, Fortin says 150 to 200 people visit the pantry each month.
We try to send about a month's supply of food home with everyone, depending on the number of pets they have, the size of the pets.
No proof of income or residency is required to pick up at the pantry, and their 100% donation-based operation on Eisenhower Avenue welcomes food and supplies during regular business hours. Find this donation cart out front.
We're helping thousands of pets and their families. We really look at it as a partnership that we're partnering with pet families to keep them together.
In Alexandria, Ben Dennis, DC News Now. And meantime, pet families not facing emergency financial needs can still stretch their dollar. The Consumer's Checkbook for the DC area says food prices are likely lower for regular pet deliveries bought online. Could be 5% off. Buy online, pick up at Petco, get 10% off, 5% off at PetSmart. Check out Sam's Club, BJ's, and Walmart. Their prices are discounted. And visit the Animal Welfare League of Alexandria's social media pages to identify specific donations that they may request for our local pet families in need.